everybody. It's Tuesday morning. It's the 21st. We're 10 days away from Halloween already, bro. Which
Ah,
means damn near Christmas.
good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Another news, another day, another dollar. It's raining outside here. It's less than 50 degrees and cold. My cat's running around the house wishing he could go outside. He just doesn't understand. Wouldn't let me sleep, so he drugged me to do be with y'all today. And I woke Ryan's ass up and said, "You coming with?" So how you doing, Ryan? Thanks for joining me, man.
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm just a little tired.
Me too, man. Hopefully this other cup of coffee does the trick because the first one just isn't. My coffee's
Morning,
my.
Kristen.
Where's Kristen? Because my
He's
coffee
already in here. That's the
Oh,
first.
Kristen, there you go. My coffee game is weak right now, Ryan. Right now, though, I did drink that coffee that gives
Hi,
me the red.
Candy.
Candy's in here too. Dang.
Yeah.
Thank- Let me see. I didn't even start our thing. Hold on. I didn't even start the ticker or nothing. Here's where my fucking chat is. I need to set my chat up so it's on the big screen. There we go. Hi, Candy. Hi, Kristen. Love you guys. Our
Hit
two
the
favorite
like.
right away. What you know? It's going to be a fun show, regardless. We got
Yep.
some good stuff today. It's pretty much like there was we're gonna go down the line. It's gonna be pretty basic, quick. I mean, we got a couple hour, maybe an hour or two worth of stuff, but we got Atlanta airport scare, a man with a pew pew arrested after making terroristic threats. We've got a DOGE staffer attack. We'll have Judge Gene Pinero talking about what charges they're bringing that way. We've got some news highlights. We've got some funny shit about the No Kings and George Soros. We got Trump talking about he don't like the Australian ambassador. Oh, and we'll start with this uproar. Or no, yeah. Antifa link professor flees the country. So we got that too. So, man, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. I was planning on just starting with the damn I was planning on just starting with the what's it called? The police thing. So here is the Atlanta police press conference that just is going down as we speak. And they are talking about what happened at the airport.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens, and I'm here along with my colleagues to talk about an incident that could have been tragic but was averted. So we're joined here by the COO of this city, our Chief of Police, as well as Captain Shapiro from Spiricio from Cartersville Police, as well as our FBI lead, Mr. Brown, as well as our we have Ricky Smith from Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta International Airport. And we are here to talk about an incident that occurred at Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta International Airport that was averted today, thankfully. And Chief Shearbaum will give you a lot of details about that incident. But in particular, 27 or more lives could have been lost today because an individual came into Hartsfield-Jackson and after being reported coming out of Cartersville, Georgia, that had mental challenges. This individual, thankfully, his family went to the Cartersville Police and shared with them what was going on, and they alerted APD, and APD LAPD and the airport were aware, and this crisis was averted. But this individual did have a semi-automatic weapon, and this individual was mentally challenged. And when you have those combinations together, it can turn out to be deadly. People that are mentally challenged, and he happened to also have been a felon from a few years back. So he's a felon with a semi-automatic weapon, and he's got mental challenges, and he's approaching the world's busiest and most efficient airport. This crisis, we're thankful to God and to good information and good intel and good people for this crisis being averted. Just a few weeks ago, we dealt with the CDC shooting that occurred in this city, where another individual coming out of Kennesaw had a mental challenge and a high-powered weapon and ended up killing a DeKalb County police officer and striking the CDC, as well as striking fear into the communities around. We also had an individual just last year in Midtown that was also seeking mental help with his parent, but ended up causing loss of life in that regard as well. We also had a Four Seasons hotel and residence, an individual with high-powered weapons and a mental health diagnosis. So what you're seeing is we are experiencing across the nation and even in this great city where guns and mental health challenges going together can propose a deadly scenario. We're thankful that in this situation today, this crisis was averted, and so now I will turn it over to our police chief, Darren Shearbaum, to be able to give you more details about all of the aspects of this situation. Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate you all being here. As the mayor stated, we are here today to announce an arrest of an individual that posed a threat to our airport, but also to note that because of the community, in case of the family, as well as the joint collaboration of law enforcement, that a tragedy was indeed averted. The Atlanta airport, the busiest in the world, most efficient, remains safe. Each and every day we have a range of resources in place to keep the airport safe, including our special response team and the many officers that are assigned there. That team trains regularly for scenarios just like today. And I want to thank the men and women of the airport for their response. We have taken in custody and have under arrest a Billy Cagle, age 49, resident of Cartersville, Georgia. At approximately 9:40 this morning, the Atlanta Police Department was alerted by the Cartersville Police Department of a potential threat at the airport. Cartersville Police Department was alerted by the family of Mr. Cagle that he was streaming on social media, that he was headed to the airport, in their words, to shoot it up. And the family stated that he was in possession of an assault rifle. What we didn't know is that Mr. Cagle had already arrived.
Cagle? I can't get over it. I just can't get over it. Like, I'm over here sipping my coffee, pretending like I'm not hearing it. Like, oh, man.
At the airport. In fact, we know that he arrived at 9:29, going to the south terminal, and that he entered the airport shortly thereafter at 9:31. That time, we do not believe he was armed. He entered the south domestic terminal, and from video we will show you he seemed to be very interested in the TSA check-in area, which you can see was heavily crowded.
Mr. Cagle?
At approximately 9:54, officers of this department, armed with a photograph of Mr. Cagle, being provided up-to-date information from their sergeant as she spoke to the Cartersville Police Department, and a family member, was able to locate Mr. Cagle and take him into custody. He had arrived at the airport in a Chevy flatbed pickup that was part of the lookout provided to us by Cartersville PD. That vehicle was parked immediately outside. When we went to that vehicle, we found inside a Springfield AR-15 assault rifle, a 5.56 St. Victor model with 27 rounds of ammunition. We did have a tragedy averted today. I, just a short while ago, spoke to two officers of this department and thanked them, because if it were not for Officer Gibson and Officer Banks, and if it were not for their Sergeant Jones that was providing them, I do believe that Mr. Cagle was headed back to his truck to retrieve it, and I do believe he was likely to be inside the crowded terminal that you just seen. We are working closely with the District Attorney of Clayton County, District Attorney Mosley, and we charged Mr. Cagle with a count of terroristic threats, criminal attempt to commit aggravated assaults, possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. We're here today briefing you on a success in our tragedy because a family saw something and said something. A family knew they had a family member in crisis. They knew knew they had access to firearms, and they were on social media. This is something we've seen across the country time and time again. Social media postings, people with an awareness, individuals with access to a firearm. But today, the family said something. The local police in Cartersville quickly notified the Atlanta Police Department. The Atlanta Police Department, using its resources at the airport, took the individual into custody. So today is how it should work. Community, law enforcement, dedicated men and women wearing the uniform and trained to respond when their community needs them. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for making sure we have the resources to keep our airport safe and keep our city safe. And thank you to the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department, particularly our airport section, for what you did today. Now I'm going to turn the podium over.
A lot of people don't know this, but there is a way to trade the stock market that doesn't require you to guess whether the market will go up or down.
To our representative from Cartersville, Captain Sparacito, for comments from him. Thank you.
Good morning. So this morning, just after 9:30, we were alerted by family members that Mr. Cagle was en route to somewhere in the Atlanta area. They weren't sure. Ultimately, we found out it was the Atlanta airport, that he had the intention to inflict harm to as many people as he could. We were able to get in touch with the Atlanta Police Department. Our investigators were able to quickly determine what kind of vehicle he was in, get very recent pictures of that vehicle, and get all those over to the Atlanta Police Department in a timely manner, and ultimately get this, what could have been a crisis averted. And it's because of the hard work, dedication of the excellent investigators we have, the patrol officers that initially took the report, that they were able to take care of that. We are familiar with Mr. Cagle. He's got a criminal history in Cartersville, but no one will ever see anything like this. See something, say something, really good work.
Thank you so much, Captain. Thank you to Cartersville Police Department for your excellent cooperation and coordination and timely, quickness in telling us about this particular individual and the harm that he wanted to inflict. Thank you, Chief Sherbon, and your team here at APD to receive that call, to have great relationships across the region, to be able to continue to stay in great contact with individuals and organizations and other police departments across this region so that they would collaborate with us. Thank you all for this. Those in the community, the family, thank you for sharing. See something, say something did work. And so we are standing here talking about a tragedy averted versus standing here telling you about 27 plus lives that were lost in the world's busiest airport. So I will now take
I think there's some video we're going to show.
Oh.
Just a bit of time. That may be a benefit for you.
Media, if you can direct your cameras to the screen, we have a video, and Chief, if you could just come up and kind of take a look at the video and just walk us through it.
So, again, this comes from the investment that we placed at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. You see the individual arriving, he's parked his vehicle that was given to us by Cartersville PD, the Chevy flatbed pickup truck. They also had a dog in the vehicle with them. This is occurring at approximately 9:29, and then he will enter the airport itself proper at 9:31. He'll be entering top left. You see him right here in the blue shirt. Here.
Look at Cagle. Look at Cagle. He needs to do way more Kegels. Look at him. That dude ain't done a Kegel his whole life, bro. Look at him wobble.
We'll go into the TSA area. There's a high interest in that
That's the fucking guy. Oh.
area. And you'll see the number of travelers that are there that are
See that bitch with the mask, too. Oh, no.
preparing to depart. Our officers, armed with this photograph, are able to pick him out of that crowded area.
Like, I think I'm going on a little psychotic attack right now. I think I'm gonna go to the airport. Look at this big motherfucker, bro. You can just run through. It's like 50 midgets versus one guy. It's like this guy could just start taking on the whole fucking airport without his dude.
Are able to take him into custody.
I'm sorry. Shit's hilarious, dude. That motherfucker is doing those things. Where are they all at? Where's all this fucking pew-pews at?
Mr. Cagle's vehicle is just outside these doors. He was clearly moving to the area
Cagle?
that potentially scouting.
Mr. Cagle, wait, did you see that the black chick try to touch him and he just looked at her like, bitch, what are you doing? Fucking hilarious, dude. It was like this little fucking chubby black arm just touched him. It was just like, he just looked at her like, are you out your goddamn mind?
And was moving back to that area. Mr. Cagle was checked out by EMS. They determined he had no injuries.
Mr. Cagle is doing them right now. He's Cagling it up right now.
And then we're going to have next the weapon that was located inside the vehicle.
Bitch, get the damn thing on him. You can do it.
The officers at this time are handcuffing him.
This
Because of his
bitch
size
can't
and what you have in the description.
Bro, this motherfucker can't even put on the damn fucking handcuffs, dude. What the hell? Dude, put the fucking thing on his wrist, dude. He's Cagling it up.
They're gonna have to double them up.
Third party who still has handcuffs to be able to properly secure him. Fortunately, there were no firearms on him at this time. His weapon is
That was
outside.
hilarious. This is fucking great.
What's his size? He's about 6'3".
6'3",
Okay.
320 pounds, 6'3".
6'3". It's like
Next
a
is Officer
Browns
Banks and
fucking
Officer
lineman.
Gibson. There. This is the vehicle. Matched the description perfectly given by Cartersville PD. It pulled up right to the south, a domestic terminal. Parked here would go down and go into another door. And then you'll see the officers approaching it, and then they'll recover the firearm, semi-automatic assault rifle they had with them. There were 27 rounds that could have been fired from this weapon inside the airport. This is exactly why we're here today, to encourage citizens to do their part.
Wait, hold on.
Again, acknowledge.
Did he say that he shot it off inside or threatened to?
He could have shot
Oh, see,
27.
this is so gay.
Family,
Yeah.
acknowledge our partners at Cartersville Police Department for their work.
Where? Fuck. The guy was walking around like.
Did you know that nearly half of US TV streaming time is on Roku? With Roku's new self-service ad tool, it's easy to set up your own CTV.
All right, at this time,
We saved the world from fucking Igor.
now we're ready for questions.
What was Mr. Cagle's,
Taisha, to my left, Taisha.
What was Mr.
Question
Cagle's
made
fucking?
For Chief Shibboleth, I'm not sure, but had he just went into the airport with the gun initially, how difficult
What's up,
would it
Nitro
have
Bob?
been to stop him if he didn't do that,
Yo, bro.
like a dry run, maybe to see where he was gonna go?
I don't want to go into the full capabilities that we have at the airport. We prepare for this very scenario. We take top board. Our special response team trains weekly for just this occurrence. What you didn't see in the video was close by officers armed with rifles.
You guys are overly trained, dude. You guys took 8 minutes to put on his fucking handcuffs. Not the most dumbest looking motherfucker in the whole airport. He stuck out like a sore fucking thumb. I mean, even the shirt he was wearing was like, hey, snatch me up. I mean, what the fuck? Way to go, guys. We're gonna give you a silver star, not a gold, because that wouldn't be here.
Themselves. Any of you that travel through our airport,
Hilarious.
That's why we're there. You see officers with sidearms that are ready, prepared to move out. So should that scenario ever rise, as it has elsewhere in the city, we're going to be ready for it. The training, the proper equipment, and capability. We just pray that we're never called upon to do that. This is what a proper response by citizens and by law enforcement should look like.
Channel 5. Chief, do you know how he got the weapon? Was it a weapon that he purchased legally?
The investigation has been ongoing since this morning about 10 o'clock, and so we're still working through that. We are joined today by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
How do you
Our
think
federal
she
police
got
is
it,
assisting
you
us
dumb fuck?
in determining how we obtained the firearm, which she was not able to legally possess.
How do most
And that's one
people
of the
get their
charges he's been
weapons?
charged.
Hello?
11,
They buy them.
Veronica?
Yes, so the family
I
alerted you to
doubt
what
his
Mr.
mom
Cagle
did.
possibly had in mind. Did they say why he wanted to do this, some sort of motive? And also, how much ammunition did he have in addition to what was in the rifle?
The investigation will determine if there was a motive. Right now, we recovered 27 rounds. He had the capability to fire through that weapon.
That's not even a fucking 27 rounds.
You
Like,
said
not
there was a
even.
prior felony, what were his prior charges?
We'll have that provided for you at a later time. Right now, I do not have that right in front of me. I do know there was a drug possession arrest that was pretty significant that occurred in Cartersville prior to this.
CBS or ABC?
Yes, Leandra Head here with CBS News Atlanta. What mental health challenges was he suffering from?
I'm not going to provide that information. I will say this, mental health care is vital to a good society in preventing violent crime. Was aware that there was a need there, reach out. We hope the courts will take all that into consideration as they move forward, and I do not want to share that. I think a family was brave to step forward, and I want to commend the bravery of the family for what they've done today.
So in the video that we saw, the guy goes around the Delta area of the South Terminal. Did he actually go towards the TSA area and look around there and, I guess,
Yes, sir. We have other video of him being in that space.
I love hearing these motherfucking dots talk. They're fucking hilarious.
Has the suspect spoken with investigators, and if so, what is he saying?
Investigation is still ongoing. I cannot release any information that may have given on it.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm waking baked today, buddies. I ate a gummy this morning.
Of course, you guys mentioned about the response time. How fast were it?
Not too
We saw
much
the officer with the phone, with the picture of the guy. How fast were you guys able to identify him and see him in the airport?
Certainly, the timeline is we received the call at 9:40, and we had him in custody at 9:54. And as you can see, that was a very crowded area, and the officers, you can see in their hands, had the photograph. They were scouring the area. It's just one of two officers. The officers all out at the airport. And so I do want to commend them and just thank those officers for doing well.
Why is this doing this?
Atlanta expected them to do on this Monday morning.
CBS Atlanta? ANF, question?
Stupid.
Yeah, have you seen this live stream that Cagle was making at the time?
I have not.
How did the family know he was going to ATL?
He said it was.
He told them.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, next question, Taisha.
What is up, YouTube?
Chief, what happened
I'm gonna
when,
quit
so we were out there when we weren't quite sure what was happening, and the way the truck was positioned, he had ran over a cone, and then it was like, just a very odd position. What happened from the moment he parked that truck that way until, you all were in that video showing him?
Yeah, so he parks at 9:29. He enters the South Terminal at 9:31. And then he's walking around the area. He goes to the TSA checkpoint area. He's scanning that area, and he's walking back to the truck, we believe, when the officers encounter him.
Because I know
And that
how,
occurs at 9:54.
Who
I
fucking
just know
cares?
how on it officers are when you park
Where's
right there, so
Charlie?
I was just wondering, like, did anybody see him?
Okay, tell us
right
them.
there?
I'm.
Like, because it seems like there were 2 minutes where he was able.
We've got a mentally handicapped man running around with fucking loaded ARs, looking like fucking. Dude, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Is this just something to shove up our ass or something? Like, this is fucking damn near comedy, Mr. Cagle. Like, you can't make it up.
To get lost.
Right. Our priority was to find the person, ma'am, and that's what we did.
All right, Cody.
What we do here, we are just fucking the best.
Well,
We're the
I
best.
know the airport this morning, especially in that TSA agent lines for long, with the government shutdown. We're getting into holiday travel.
All right, let's go to the next video. This one
What do you want
sucks.
people to know in these situations?
This guy's
so
a
that as they
pussy,
might
the
have
other guy's a
backups,
pussy.
That they are safe.
We protect the world's busiest, most efficient airport each and every day through many holidays, sporting events. We ensure the
Oh,
airport.
you're just the best. We don't know what we would do without you.
About 2:53 a.m. Sunday morning at the U Street corridor. But we do want to keep you in D.C. right now. We want to go out to U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro making remarks now and an update in the investigation of an assault that happened to a former DOGE staffer. Let's listen in on Live Now from Fox.
I want to thank you all for being here today. Today we're going to announce the names of two individuals who are being charged with a series of assaults and attempted carjacking in a highly publicized case where two young men were brutally assaulted and stomped, highlighting the need for accountability among young offenders in the district. This case underscores the escalating challenges that we face in confronting crime in Washington, D.C. On August 3rd of 2025, at about 2:53 a.m. Sunday morning, at the U Street corridor and 14th Street, which is a very popular hangout, a nightlife area, essentially, Ethan Levine, a 22-year-old, and several of his friends were standing outside a Sunoco gas station. They were approached by a large group of teens, individuals who confronted them and began to assault them. Today, we are announcing that Lawrence Cotton Powell, who is 19 years of age, along with Anthony Taylor, who is 18 years of age, are now charged with assaulting Levine. Cotton Powell was stomping on Levine's head, as you can see in this poster to my left. Levine was able to get up momentarily, but the crowd chased him and got him down again. They continued to attack Levine while he was on the ground, and then proceeded to rob him of his sneakers and his watch. The group then, after the robbery and assault of Ethan Levine, they walked in the direction of where another crime occurred within minutes. You have heard of this crime. Edward Correstein, a 19-year-old DOGE person who was working in the administration, was walking a young woman to her car when he was approached in the 1400 block of Swan Street Northwest. Approximately 10 suspects approached him, and as they did, he pushed the young woman into the car. And he was protecting her from the group before he was then attacked by multiple suspects, who then punched him repeatedly, causing significant injuries to him. They got him on the ground, and as they were doing so, they demanded the car from the woman who was inside the car and had already locked the car. They were banging on the car. They were pulling the car door, trying to get the car open, and were telling the woman in the car to hand over the keys. And the woman was, as I said, able to lock the car door, so they were unable to gain entry. And it was fortuitous that someone from the Metropolitan Police Department was on patrol. He happened to pull onto the block, and he witnessed the suspects actually assaulting Correstein, who was on the ground lying next to the car. The juveniles fled, but within a short period of time, two 15-year-olds were arrested, and they were taken into the family court by the Attorney General's office. That is the local Attorney General's office. Now, I think what's significant about this case is the history of Lawrence Cotton Powell. I want you to follow me on this. Lawrence Cotton Powell is 19 years of age. He's now charged with robbery, first-degree robbery, for which he faces 15 years in prison. He also faces a charge of assault with intent to commit robbery and another 15 years. And robbery for Edward Correstein, 15 years. Assault with intent to commit robbery, another 15 years. And attempted carjacking, 5 years. Now, let me tell you his background. On April 3rd of this year, Lawrence Cotton Powell was sentenced for a felony attempted robbery. My office asked for jail time. Judge McLean, a judge sitting in the criminal part in Superior Court with no criminal background, made a decision to give Cotton Powell probation, in spite of his conviction on a felony attempted robbery. Within 31 days, by May 4th, Powell reoffends. He's rearrested while he's on probation from the felony, and he's charged with simple assault and possession of a prohibited weapon B. On May 4th, my office asked that probation be revoked. But on May 16th, that same Judge McClain comes back and releases Cotton Powell and tells him basically, be a good boy. On July 24th, he is sentenced to one of the 2 misdemeanors that he's charged with. Again, my office asked for jail time after he victimized yet another person. And on July 25th, another judge suspends his sentence and decides that he should be on probation. So after a felony of attempted robbery conviction, after a violation of probation, after a second crime, after a second conviction, after no compliance with C. Sosa, the judges say do better and they let him go. And guess what? Within 10 days, he's at it again with Ethan Levine and Edward Korstein. Now, the co-defendant in this case is an individual by the name of Anthony Taylor. He charged also with the same arrest. He is with the same crimes. He is from Maryland. He is 18 years old. We are unaware of any history as it relates to him.
You think there's a Kennedy curse?
Man, I love her, dude.
In the summertime.
Me too. She's
I want to
badass.
thank the Metropolitan Police Department.
For sure.
I want to thank the fact that this department went above and beyond and worked incredibly hard with the little evidence that we had to identify 2 of the perpetrators that we're going to be able to prosecute in criminal court. And I want to mention and thank the chief, and I also want to thank Mayor Bowser for her assistance in helping us. This is a coordinated effort by all of us. I also want to thank the marshals who are here, and they'll be speaking to you in a minute. But I again urge the D.C. Council to reconsider those trilogy of laws that allow Washington, D.C. to allow these young people to go out and victimize, re-victimize, and keep re-victimizing and putting the safety of the citizens who live, work, and visit here at risk. And I ask them to stand up finally and send a clear message, because the people of this district deserve no less than safety. So I want to call upon the police chief, Pamela Smith, to say a few words.
All right. Thank you, Judge Pirro. Good afternoon. I'm Pamela A. Smith, Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department. I'm joined today by Commander Kevin Kentish of our Criminal Investigations Division and Detective Thomas O'Donnell of the Carjacking Task Force. The Metropolitan Police Department is proud to stand alongside our partners at the United States Attorney's Office and the United States Marshal Service in announcing 2 additional arrests in the attempted carjacking of Mr. Edward Korstein. This is the latest example of the continuous partnerships between our agencies and our collective community commitment to removing individuals who harm our communities out of our community. It is because of the swift response of our officers, 2 suspects were immediately arrested after the offense occurred. Since the morning of August 3rd, detectives assigned to the Metropolitan Police Department Carjacking Task Force have worked tirelessly with all of our partners to identify and apprehend the 2 outstanding suspects. Just minutes before the attempted carjacking on Swan Street, both of these suspects were involved in a robbery just a few blocks away from U Street. This behavior is indicative of what we see time and time again. A small group of suspects committed a series of violent crime offenses in a very short period of time. These arrests send a very strong message to our community. If you commit violent acts in our community, you will be found, you will be held accountable, and you will face justice. Together, we will continue to work tirelessly to ensure our neighbors and our communities that you remain safe and that those who threaten the safety will be held accountable. I'd also like to thank Judge Pirro and her team for working alongside the Metropolitan Police Department for getting this case to where it is today. I'd also like to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser, who has also been very, very supportive of public safety in this city. And since I've been in this space as the chief, she has certainly been a strong supporter and an advocate for what we need to do in this city to drive down crime. And lastly, the members of the Metropolitan Police Department, the Carjacking Task Force, and our detectives who every single day go out there and investigate those crimes to ensure that our citizens and our communities feel safe. Thank you so much. And I'll turn it back over to Judge Pirro.
All right, and now I'd like to call Don Schneider up from the U.S. Marshals.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chief Inspector Don Snyder. I am the commander of the Capital Area Regional Fugitive Task Force with the United States Marshal Service. I also have Superior Court United States Marshal Tony Dixon with me. The mission of the Cardiff is to reduce violent crime and enhance public safety through the investigation and apprehension of violent fugitives. So fugitive investigations can be complex and are often inherently dangerous. Deputy U.S. Marshals and law enforcement officers across the country place the communities they serve before themselves when investigating and apprehending violent fugitives. Ensuring the service of justice for citizen victims can be extremely costly. We work closely at the Cardiff in D.C. with the Metropolitan Police Department. Our partnership is strong. It is the case in this investigation. So in the fugitive business, we regularly ask ourselves two very important questions. How do we manage risk to the community, to law enforcement, and to the offender when attempting to conduct a safe arrest operation? And how does law enforcement with limited resources and personnel best mitigate the risk of violent crime in our communities? So through high quality constitutional law enforcement, strong investigations and prosecutions, righteous convictions, and sentences of consequence, holistic mitigation of violence also requires organizations in the community to provide opportunities for growth and positive engagement with families and our youth. Over the past 75 days, the DC Safe and Beautiful Task Force has arrested over 4,700 offenders, seizing over 460 illicit firearms during these arrests. Violent crime is down across the city. Our mission at the DC Safe and Beautiful Task Force is to end crime in America's capital, making it the safest city in the nation. Law enforcement and National Guard are doing our best to do our part. Now we need everybody to come together and work together to eliminate violence in the district for good and provide families and our youth with opportunities to thrive. The DC Safe and Beautiful Task Force is an absolutely wonderful thing. It's the greatest partnership in modern history of law enforcement and National Guard coming together to make a community safe. And we are here to stay. It's one badge, one fight, make DC the safest and most beautiful city in America, where citizens of all DC communities are provided with the unlimited opportunity to thrive.
If your child has used Roblox,
I'm doing
you
all
might
right,
be
man.
owed
How you doing,
significant
Mike?
compensation from a lawsuit currently underway. Find out if you qualify. While marketed
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Tony Dixon. I'm the United States Marshal for the Superior Court here in the District of Columbia. As you've heard said, first of all, let me thank Judge Pirro, United States Attorney Pirro. I want to thank Chief of Police Pamela Smith and all of her colleagues. And I also want to thank Mayor Bowser for the continued cooperation and collaboration that we have in partnerships to address these types of matters. As you've seen and as you have heard, this effort is indicative of what can happen and what does happen when we collaboratively interact to bring justice in the District of Columbia. That said, we can do it better with the assistance of the community. And with that in mind, I implore and I invite the community to assist us in our efforts, our collaborative efforts to make this a safer and a more unified and peaceful city. We can do it with your help, and only with your help can it be as successful as possible. That said, I want to thank you all for what you have done and continue to do. I want to thank the colleagues here. And again, I want to thank the U.S. Attorney's Office and our collaborative relationship with the Metropolitan Police. Thank you.
I don't know how much longer I'm gonna watch.
And with respect to the collaborative relationship, I think you all know that this is something that President Trump brought to the district in his desire to make D.C. safe and beautiful. The number of arrests, the number of convictions, the number of charges are all reflective of a cooperative effort, and they're making a difference in the district. Now, any questions? Yes.
You mentioned that this 18 and 19-year-old and the two 15-year-olds that were sentenced last week were part of a larger group.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you've identified any of the other individuals, and if so, how old they are and when we could expect them to be.
Well, I'm glad you asked the question. The investigation is continuing. We continue to take these cases and move it forward. We're not going to be happy until we get every person who was involved in the assault on these two individuals, and we continue to do that. Make no mistake that that is a priority for everyone who's standing behind me right now. Two of the 15-year-olds, as you know, have been released. Their case is closed. Our case has been put over for a preliminary hearing, I believe, I believe it's November 6th. But we expect that there will be more who will be identified and arrested. I think that what you can see here, these two defendants here are stomping on Edward Levine. You can see that there is a sneaker there. They're taking his shoes from him. And this was what Edward Courtesign looked like. These are severe beatings with some severe injuries, hospitalizations by both victims. And the most stunning part of all this is they happened within minutes of each other. And we know that this same group moved from one assault to the next assault. And we are continuing to investigate with these phenomenal investigators in police department to find out where they went next. And we will. Of that, I have no question.
You said that these arrests are evidence that these individuals will be held accountable and will face justice. Your officers repeatedly arrested this individual, gave the evidence to the prosecutor's office that used it to repeatedly ask that he be detained, and then he reoffended multiple times. Is that being held accountable? And is there frustration among law enforcement that they're not being held accountable despite your office's repeated efforts to provide the necessary evidence to your office?
When you say that he reoffended at what point?
Well, the misdemeanor in May, that he reoffended while he was out.
But the chief is not responsible for what judges do.
No, that's what I'm asking. Is there frustration that there's not accountability despite the effort your officers continue to put in?
Let me say this. I think everyone in this room knows the amount of times we have rearrested the same individuals over and over and over again. Today's message is not new. Of course, it's frustrating for my police officers. Every single day, the expectation of this city is that they go out and police, right? And then when they keep arresting the same individuals over and over and over again, it's offensive to me. I have to sit through crime briefings Monday through Friday. We see some of the same faces over and over and over again. And when I talk about the accountability piece, that is certainly in partnership with our U.S. Attorney's Office. Make no mistake about it. Judge Pirro, as we present these cases, her office is working collaboratively with us, and she is doing what we have expected the process to do when it comes to our criminal justice system. And that is when we arrest individuals for violent crimes, that they are presented in court and that they are held accountable. When it comes to that piece, of course, I'm not a judge and I'm certainly not an attorney, but I do applaud our officers who continue every single day in this same effort. But there has to be some kind of relief, and there has to be a clear message to members and community that we're not going to continue to tolerate this. And there has to be a juvenile justice system and a justice system that are going to hold these folks accountable.
Do you back the judge's request to the council that they rescind those three particular pieces of the legislation?
Now, you know I'm not a politician, and my position as the chief of police is to always to remain apolitical. Any legislation that is proposed by Mayor Bowser, clearly I support the mayor's presentation to the council in collaboration with the mayor. There are things that my office presents to the mayor and team with respect to what we'd like to see with regards to legislation that will help our officers police safer in our city.
Chief,
I just read the charging document for Taylor. It's 23 pages long and very extensive and shows multiple pictures of the beatings. But what's extraordinary is that Taylor was arrested hours after Gorstein was beat up.
And dedication
his photo was
suits.
taken. And that seems to have been the key to the case here. I don't know if Commander Kendish wants to talk about it, but how long did it take to connect Taylor with that photograph of that arrest, with all of the surveillance photos that you had and video that you had, to finally, because it looks to me as if it was his clothing and his face, obviously, that connected the dots.
And Paul, I appreciate you for asking that question. As you know, all of that is a part of the investigation, and that's what the judge and her team will present in court, the timeline and how those things panned out.
Can you talk about the work that the detectives did on that?
Well, I think the detectives have done an extensive work. I think Judge Pirro has said they worked tirelessly. I've said they have worked tirelessly. And in the question that the Washington Post reporter asked was that, are there others? We will continue to work and throw everything that we have at this particular, in all of our cases. This isn't just as you notice, we have this case, we have that case. They're working this entire case.
This is right before I
Would you be
came
happy
on.
if you stayed where you are in life and job forever? If the answer is yes,
what's up,
then
Reed?
this video is not for
I've
you.
been waiting
But
to say
if you want to
something. Where's my
finally-
lawnmower?
Yes.
Hi, Laura Barlow, MSNBC. You're charging the individuals with carjacking, correct? That's part of the charges?
Yes.
And so, I'm just
Attempted carjacking.
But President Trump said last week that he was disappointed that you were disappointed with the sentencing of the other individuals that
Of the 15-year-olds by the family court? Well, without even asking you to be specific, we have long believed that it's time to lower the age of criminal responsibility. It's time that we get 15-year-olds who are part of this gang into the criminal justice system so that we have a record of who they are. So we start to incarcerate them. This is a problem. They go to family court, they get released, and then they get probation, and that's the end of it. How many times they go through there before I get to them is amazing. If you could look, and I'm not talking about this case, if you could look at the history of a lot of these offenders, when I first get them, how many times they've been in family court, you would be furious, as I am most days.
Were you disappointed, though, by the actual charges that you were able to bring? Had you intended to bring carjacking?
I bring charges that are consistent
Thank
with
you,
the
Aurora.
evidence, the facts, and the law. It's not about being disappointed. I mean, I only go as far as the law allows me to go. And it's attempted carjacking. They didn't get the car. She was in the vehicle. She didn't give them the keys. They weren't able to get in. But, I mean, this is an attempt to robbery one. Along with the assault in pursuance of a robbery. I mean, this is assault with the intent to commit a robbery. These are serious crimes, 15 years.
I'll say this. I wouldn't want to get caught and have to have her be my prosecutor.
Hell no.
She don't fuck around, bro.
No.
She does not fuck around.
Neither
dude,
does Reed, obviously.
Next one's a good one, bro. This next one, well, not a good one, but this next one's crazy.
Hit the like, please,
Yeah,
everybody.
I don't know how long I'll be going. This is not really bumping too hard. I'd rather just sleep if I can.
You know how they do it.
Students at Rutgers University in New Jersey are demanding the university publicly support the professor who wrote the book on Antifa. That professor recently fled the country after Turning Point's Rutgers chapter raised concerns about the university employing him. Now, the Turning Point chapter is taking a ton of flack after sounding the alarm, with one member of Rutgers leadership now calling for the removal of 2 Turning Point officers. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno here with my co-hosts, Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany. And also joining us today, Kennedy, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, and Todd Pyro, co-host of Fox and Friends First. Now, first, let's go to Eric Sean live in studio with more on this story. Eric.
Hello, Emily. Well, a Rutgers University administrator now wants Turning Point USA's campus officers booted after a professor said he fled the country because of death threats. Professor Mark Bray fled to Spain after he says Turning Point USA publicized his work on Antifa, and that sparked a firestorm against him. Well, the Turning Point USA chapter says Bray not only writes about Antifa, but he supports the movement. So the group started a petition to get.
I got free entry to an exclusive 200K chess.com tournament plus premium free unlimited stockfish analysis. No limits. Life is definitely good. No ceiling. McGrandma's ghost is now controlling.
Him ousted.
Our main goal with the petition was to hear a comment from workers. We don't believe that he should be employed at this school. We believe that he is a danger to conservative students on campus. We wanted to bring light to some of his actions.
But on Friday, the Rutgers University Senate is set to vote on a resolution demanding the university support and protect him. In an op-ed piece, Rutgers President Today, William Tate, says muzzling Bray is an example of cancel culture, writing, quote, "The role of the university, however, is not to prevent discomfort or protect ideology. Our responsibility is to protect the conditions for inquiry and debate. We do this by modeling the free exchange of ideas, upholding the law, and fostering a secure environment for teaching and research." Bray is the author of this book, Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook. Half of the book's proceeds go to support international anti-fascist efforts. Well, in an interview with the AP before he left the country, Bray said he just researched Antifa and he rejected Turning Point USA's claims about him.
I myself am not Antifa, although I do support anti-fascism. Broadly speaking, I oppose fascism, but I'm a researcher. I come at this as a researcher
Sounds
and
like
a professor.
Dell.
I
was going to say
Turning
Dell.
Point
Dell.
USA to paint me as the mastermind of Dr.
Yeah.
Antifa is ridiculous.
Well, a school administrator says Ava and another Turning Point USA officer on campus should be stripped of their roles because they are not undergraduate students. Ava is a graduate student. We've reached out to her for comment, and she told us that she will have a reaction to that demand as soon as she can. We'll get it to you when she does. Emily, back to you.
Eric, Sean, thank you. All right, Todd, let's unpack here. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, I understand the argument that he's an explainer of what Antifa is. Well, if you're trying to explain, trying to educate the people, don't label it as a handbook, because all the handbooks that I have in my house are how to do something. Like my handbook on plumbing. It's not an explainer on the theories of plumbing. It's how to do plumbing. Second, to build off of something Eric Sean said, the funding, this is from the book itself. Quote, at least 50% of author proceeds will go to the International Anti-Fascist Defense Fund, which is administered by more than 300 Antifa, his word, not mine, from 18 countries. So if you are funding Antifa, which has been designated by Donald Trump, the president, as a terror organization, you unequivocally should not be teaching at a university. Universities can be hotbed of discussion, different points of view. That's what we want. That's how a university thrives. But funding a terror organization is where we need to draw the line. That's why we're seeing such a push toward trade schools. If you just want to go to a school and get an education to learn how to do something, Rutgers and schools like it that are promoting this are not the place for you.
Yeah, and Kennedy, I wanted to dig into that very same point with you on the president, the Tate's commentary, where he talks about that, well, this is cancel culture, but isn't it simply consequences? And if someone is employed in a position to affect influence and potentially indoctrination over students, and it's contributing directly to terrorist organizations, to me, that seems like a no-brainer where it would disqualify them for employment. He's free to say and do what he wants. That's the point. But it's accountability and consequences that Turning Point here is seeking.
Yeah, I mean, we are looking at the consequences of private text messages, you know, possibly upending and destroying careers and lives. You know, this wasn't a private manifesto that he had on his MacBook that someone hacked into, but that's what he's acting like. He's acting like he's some sort of a victim here. This is a book, a handbook, a manifesto that he published under his own name. It wasn't under a pseudonym. It wasn't when he was cosplaying as some stinky anti-fascist warrior. You know, this is a guy, this is a professor who, you know, has conceivably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his education. And this book is the exclamation point on the conclusion that he has come to. And the conclusion, as we have seen in cities like Portland, it's pretty bad. Like, Antifa wants to burn the entire structure down. But what are they offering when the infrastructure is burning, when it's in ruins. That's my problem with this. It's not the idea that, you know, some of these establishments
This literally sounds like Dell.
need a pushback.
I mean, really, Dell, if you're watching this is what you sound like.
It's that what they're offering is dystopia. It is
Blowing
violence.
my
It is
mind.
potentially murder. It is unlivable cities. And you know, that is what he's lobbying for. He's not talking about it. It's not someone who works in a counterterrorism think tank.
Hey, Dell, if you're watching, this is communism, right here. This is your definition of what a riot is.
I'm sure he'll wake up in a minute and be on here.
Oh, bro.
Who goes out and studies Hamas and Hezbollah. They are not endorsing those organizations. They're telling it's the same thing with the narco cartels. Like, they are telling us how they work, who populates it, and then law enforcement uses that and goes, oh, great, now we have intel and we can figure out how to defeat them. This is a full-throated endorsement of Antifa and nothing else, an organization that is very violent at its core and, you know, according to some, a terrorist organization.
Very violent at its core, but its base is a bunch of fucking pussies.
Not a great thing to be endorsing on a campus.
No, and Kaylee, to Kennedy's points, they're also anonymous and they flee immediately. There is zero accountability. There is zero engagement, unlike Charlie Kirk.
They're also anonymous and they flee immediately. And also furries and could be part of the trans community. Hashtag furries. Hashtag trans.
And Turning Point that fostered debate. Take off the mask. Talk to me as a human. I see you and I respect you, and let's talk about this interchange of ideas. Now we see a professor that's simply fleeing the country rather than saying, yes, let's talk about these ideas. In part, it makes you wonder, because of the fleeing aspect, perhaps he too sees that this is a grotesque concept to stand behind.
Yeah, and there was even that self-proclaimed Antifa member who killed Aaron J. Danielson during my tenure at the White House in Portland. I constantly bring that up because I think it's important to highlight people who've lost their lives because of violence, and in some cases,
good question.
Self-proclaimed Antifa members. This individual, Professor Bray, I was reading through an interview he did in 2017 with NBC. Bear with me for a moment. I think it's important we hear what he has to say. He was asked, you write that violence represents a small, though vital sliver of the anti-fascist activity. He's asked about it being vital. He replies, if you're organizing against violent fascists, being able to defend yourselves can unfortunately come in handy. Well, what does that mean? He goes on to say, the question is, how bad does it have to become before self?
How do you take 20,000 children in the middle of New York City without anybody seeing? They are being put into buses.
Hit the like, please. Hit the like. Help us push us through the algorithm.
I'd love for you to pontificate on that a little further. But listen to this. He was directly asked, 2017, do you consider Trump one of those emergency moments where potentially more violent tactics are necessary? He says the anti-fascist argument is that any amount of white supremacist or neo-Nazi organizing is worthy of emergency consideration. This man teaches our students. How did this man get hired? One more recent example, October 4th, he says only mass anti-fascism, legal or not, can save us. I want to know more about these thoughts. What does he teach in the classrooms? It is very important to dig into this because, yes, you have First Amendment rights, but that right becomes much diminished when you are in a classroom setting and it's stacked up against professional standards. So what are your professional standards?
Yeah, and we've talked about this. You're right. The First Amendment rights are diminished in a school setting. And in this climate, horrifically, of political assassinations, subjugation of the president, and being open about it, that is certainly cause for alarm at a minimum.
What is a neo-Nazi organized group that he wants to put together? Like, I have a lot of questions based on his questions. I have to give him credit, though. The way that he wrote this is kind of interesting because he writes it as questions.
Yeah.
So, right?
That's so true.
Yeah, he's not really laying down the law necessarily, and that's such a trick, right? That's a communicative trick. You just ask it a question, then everybody kind of reaches their own conclusions based on the 99 questions that you only left them one conclusion to reach. So he's kind of gifted at that. The problem with this is exactly what Kennedy said. That this is not being said in an open arena where people can exchange ideas. This is being said on a campus that's supposed to cultivate the ability to discuss those ideas, and also some of those seep in, right? Like proper English, those types of things. This is going in the same portals as good math skills and calculus. That's the problem. It's where it's happening. So could he have turned this into, like Charlie Kirk did, maybe invited some people to campus? Maybe he could have had a discussion. I don't know. But he put it in a handbook. And that kind of sells it for what it is, no matter how many questions that he asks. And it's someplace where people have their children. And some of them are over 18. But they're there to learn. So it doesn't all match. I don't know what they should do. I'm not a big, fan of killing free speech. The university is going to have to figure this one out with regard to that. But we know who he is.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our...
Let's go. Get it on to let's see what this is. This is going out of my what I wasn't gonna. Hold on. Sorry, guys. This is out of order. If it's stupid, we'll turn it off. But it should be.
This weekend, watch.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country. I'm not a king. I work my off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
Joining me now to react is independent journalist Evita Duffy Alfonso. Evita, did these protests accomplish anything?
Well, I would say no, they did not. And I thought the president's points were spot on. So first of all, he's right. These protests were Soros funded, Open Society Foundation funded. And the other thing is, if you look around at these protests, Todd, everyone was old. I have never seen a movement where there's energy and excitement and everybody's 55 and older. It's just impossible. It reminded me of the Women's March in 2016 or these DOGE protests where just everybody is elderly. There's no youth and energy behind this, which means it's pretty inorganic, which President Trump is right. It was inorganic. And if you think about what they're fighting for, right, anti-ICE protests, right, they're angry that President Trump is deporting illegals. Who's that good for? Working class Americans. So there's a generational divide here, but then there's also, I think, a class divide in these protests. The people who are here are wildly out of touch with what normal, regular Americans want from this country.
And quite frankly, to your earlier point, a lot of those individuals, we don't have an exact number, but a lot of them were paid to be there. And that is concerning because that's not necessarily the organicness that you want to see in our society when you protest. Meantime, the DOJ has reportedly found evidence that Democrats are skewing crime information ahead of the midterms. The report from Fox Business senior correspondent Charlie Gasparino reads in part, quote, "The number of felonies in Chicago, not to mention New York, Los Angeles, and Portland, Oregon, is declining only because woke prosecutors are knocking down felonies to something less severe for political reasons," DOJ sources say. It looks like the Democrats are trying to get voters to ignore reality, and Evita, it looks like they just got caught.
In the Win with Zins sweepstakes, you can get a chance to win $100,000. But there's more than one.
Yes, and I understand why they would want to, because our cities are dying. They are dying. When I was a student at the University of Chicago, which is the south side of Chicago, classmates of mine were pistol whipped on their way to and from class. Classmates of mine were murdered for using public transit. And things have only gotten worse in Chicago. That was the time of Lori Lightfoot. Now we have Brandon Johnson. And what happened in 2020? We were told that law and order is racist. We were told that we have to empty out our psychiatric institutions and our prisons, and somehow that will make social justice prevail in America. And all that happened was that law-abiding citizens have suffered. We have been destroyed by blue city soft-on-crime policies. And I'm someone from rural America. I've always been from rural America. And sometimes people in rural America like to ignore what's happening in our blue cities. We say, that's not us. We have nothing to do with that. And the problem is we can't have a country that is thriving and surviving if our cities are dying. So it matters to everyone. And I'm glad that the DOJ is calling them out for their lies.
Yeah, to that point, though, Avita, the DOJ expects the upcoming reports that they have on this study, or what they discovered, will highlight worsening urban conditions, to your point, population flight from blue cities, and the economic consequences that, like you mentioned, impact us all. So are we going to get any change from the voters? Are they going to stop voting for these politicians that are creating what we see in these cities? Or is it going to be more of the same from here on?
I have a big fear that it's going to be more of the same, because if you look at what's even happening in New York right now, what is Zohran Mamdani going to do for New Yorkers, right? He's somebody who's saying we're going to open up government-run grocery stores. We're going to have free public transit, which means that, of course, then they're going to become homelessness encampments. These are people who aren't interested in actually creating solutions for people in these cities. And I unfortunately, it's a sad cycle, but they're going to continue to vote for these terrible politicians who perpetuate the blue city crime, and things are only going to get worse, and the people who know everything's bad are going to continue to flee, and it is a very sad state for America.
When you look at Connecticut, you look at Westchester County, you look at New Jersey, the real estate inquiries in those areas, in light of the potential and likely win of Zohran Mamdani, is intense. People are spending hundreds of thousands above asking just to get out of the city. Avita Duffy Alfonso, thank you.
Democrats making a show of their opposition, joining nationwide protests over the weekend as the shutdown seems to have no end in sight. President Trump telling Maria Bartiromo it's because Democrats lack strong leadership.
The government is shut down. How long is this going to last?
Yeah, look, the Democrats are kamikazes right now. They're kamikaze pilots right now. They have nothing going. They have no future. They have incompetent candidates.
Fox team coverage. Lara Trump, she is standing by. David Spun has a look at the scrutiny over funding for these demonstrations. But first, let's get to Chad Program with the latest on Capitol Hill. Hi, Chad.
Dana, good morning. The No Kings rallies across the country did nothing to dislodge the government shutdown. It was progressive political theater. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi snapped a crown in half at one rally. Democrats are rooted in their views.
And I'm here today to share with you some unsurprising news. We are not on the verge of an authoritarian takeover. We are in the middle of an authoritarian takeover. But Trump has not won. Our democracy is in peril, but it can be saved. It is up to us to save us.
The No Kings rallies were a nationwide spectacle. Many prominent Democrats, ranging from Senators Adam Schiff to Cory Booker, took part. Republicans argued that the government shutdown helped them make their point about the No Kings rallies. Now, the protests were peaceful, but there were arrests after demonstrators clashed with police near an ICE facility in Portland. Everyone's predictions about the government shutdown are out the window.
You shouldn't ask me because I'm the guy who said it'll only last 5 days, John. But I will tell you, a couple of Democrat senators recently indicated that they think this is going to go till at least the 1st of November. These guys are playing with fire. The Democrats are, especially the Democrats in the Senate.
Now, Republicans believe that Democrats will feel pressure about the shutdown. That's because federal workers are missing paychecks, and there's a slowdown in government services. The longest shutdown ran more than a month in 2018 and 2019. Dana?
All right, Chad, thank you.
Major No Kings protests erupting in just about every major U.S. city this weekend, with several Democrat lawmakers speaking at these events, despite criticisms from the GOP that these rallies are just a distraction from the government shutdown. Meanwhile, Fox News Digital reporting the Trump administration is looking into RICO charges against those who are funding these protests. The No Kings movement is reportedly funded by a group of nonprofits, unions, and other groups. The president says his team will be looking into that. Watch.
The woke are literally melting down over this free Trump coin. Starting this month, the 1776 MAGA...
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective. And the
Fucking
people who
ads,
whacked
man.
out, when you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
All right, Paul, you found yourself wrapped up in the demonstration here in the city. Talk to us about what you observed.
So I was coming back from the hit with Kaylee. She's got their new morning show on Saturday. It's doing very well. I was very flattered to be on. I was walking back, got stuck in traffic, and I jumped out of the car, actually, and I walked into it, and it was very colorful. It was peaceful. So I started taking some photos, a couple of salient points. Number one, the average age was the average age of New York City's July temperature, all right? It was just a Woodstock reunion. All right, that's what the thing looked like, and I'm sorry, that's what it was. And it was uniformly white almost entirely. I mean, there's some, of course not, it's not all, but it struck me that it was all old white hippies. A couple of things also, I think. It brought home to me the importance of Charlie Kirk, because the only way the Democrats are going to replace a vanishing demographic, which is what I just discussed, is the young people that Charlie Kirk got to, and who now we understand are not going to be uniformly left, which is what the received wisdom had been in the past, because the left owned the teachers union and all of that. And the last thing I would say is just, while it was peaceful and while it was colorful and they were chanting and all sort of stuff, and the vibe was very sort of hippie peaceful, there were radical groups there everywhere. There was a heavy communist presence, socialism, revolutionaries, and everything was Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. Trump is a Nazi. Trump is the Fuhrer, constantly. And, you know, all I can say is if they don't get over their obsession with Donald Trump and him being a Nazi and him being a king and him being a dictator, they're never going to be able to get to the kind of policy that actually compels.
Yeah, I was subjected to a lot of the protests this weekend in D.C. and the neighboring areas, Alexandria, Arlington. I was struck by that same demographic that Paul describes, how elderly they were, how ineffective and nonsensical the signs were, how self-congratulatory all of them were. Kellyanne, what are your thoughts?
You'd think this group would be so happy about no tax on Social Security. But apparently they take their online venom and brought it right out into the streets. I saw them, too, in a couple of places. I think they are at once pathetic and menacing. I do think there's a dangerous element to them because some of these signs, for example, we just showed one. I want to repeat it. It said, which heals faster, Trump's ear or Erica's heart, referring to Charlie Kirk's widow. People were applauding there it is, the death of Charlie Kirk, which means that they're okay with political violence. Even Kamala Harris took a beat to say there's no place for political violence in America. Well, there is, and these are her supporters. And I do want to say I felt...
Bro, that was fucked up, dude, and I like Kellyanne.
There's no information, no inspiration. There was nothing new about this. I didn't hear any new charge or complaint or, oh, let's try to impeach him. How retro. Let's try to indict him. Let's try to destroy his family, his business, him. Let's keep him in the big house, never again the White House. They are a bunch of whiners while he's a winner. They are losers. And look, they have a right to protest, but I have to say, I don't think you have a right to threaten the life of a sitting president. And some of them have done exactly that. As pathetic as they are, they love attention. And I do worry there will be copycat killers out there. If you're scrawling it on a bullet and you're scrawling it on a sign, someone in the Democratic Party has to stand up and say, we can't have this.
Yeah, and there seems to be a drumbeat. I had the Attorney General running incumbent in Virginia on last hour. And Miaris was telling me, you know, what it was like for his mother who left Cuba and how much this moment looks like that. We talked about an assassination culture. The left seems comfortable with where they are in their messaging, whether they're carrying the flags of assassination culture or not. They're allowing people to do it for them. And I agree with you. I mean, this is an example. Those signs, that's one thing. Who's paying for it? That's another. Alexander Soros is a lot farther to the left, we know, than his dad, George, ever could be. He's got the purse strings now. And I look at you, Cheryl. What he does with that money really matters. So those RICO charges, I'm looking to see, you know, is there complicity with that cash?
Well, I didn't bring my forensic accounting hat today to the program, but I will tell you this. 200 organizations have organized, were the organizers behind this, right? But you know some of these names. Indivisible's the main one. ACLU, Move On, it goes on and on. Open Society Foundation, that is Soros, did they borrow money to any of these 200 organizations? That takes the accounting, and that's the time I did not have today. I will tell you this, though. You've got to get permits. You've got to get police out there. You've got to get the signs. You've got to get the messaging out. To have millions of people out there, that is not a cheap endeavor. And I will also say that there is a company called Crowds on Demand that has a CEO, and you can pay them to go out and protest for you. You know, up to $500 a day you can make as a paid protester. This is the reality that we're in. So the question mark is, where did the money come from? Christy Walton, by the way, the Walmart heir. She's one of them. She's put in
$500 a day to protest. I could do that all day.
A few million.
So, you know, I can actually speak to Indivisible. That's funded by Soros for this. They did the tech backbone for this entire thing. Ryan Morrow, no relation, did a big report on it. It's been referred to DOJ. That's the RICO you're talking about.
Right.
I have it up on the opsdesk.org. That's my blog.
I bet you I'd protest a hell of a lot better than Doe.
This is going to be a case. Could be a civil case, could be a criminal, but it's going to be a RICO. Trump administration wants this.
Get him, Trump!
Guest went to check out the D.C. area rally. Here were her observations. She said, "It's true, I did not see a king. The crowd was not that big, and street parking was not hard to find. Majority of people are white. There are too many older people, 60s radicals, I guess, and there were so many costumes it seemed like a Halloween party." But she also happens to be a survivor of Mao's revolution. It's Ji Van Fleet who joins us now. Ji, thank you for being with us here today. Tell us a little more about your experience and what you saw out there at the No Kings rally.
Yeah, first of all, I have to say that I'm an immigrant. I'm a woman. I have identities as well. But in this great country, we don't have kings. We have a democratically elected president and Donald Trump. That's what they are against. And so this is my...
There's my sideways, just a little bit older. I'd still have to do it just for Ryan.
World Conqueror. Read that one.
To see a lefty rally, and I was really surprised. And first of all,
Survivor of Mao's revolution. I bet she got.
So this one is cool. You basically connect your Shopify account, and it's able to pull in your product catalog, and then from there you can actually.
Quiet. The traffic was light, and there's parking available on the Constitution Avenue and along the malls. And I did not see the crowd until I walked towards the center of the gathering, which is also the gallery, National Gallery of Art.
You're a
and
fucking
what I
hell of a
saw
homan.
is a crowd that is basically white and basically middle aged and older, and
we need more people
women.
like
so
you,
it's
Stephen.
It's a white, older, and women-dominant crowd, and that is basically today's Democratic base. And in Chinese word, they are the baizuo. I think this word has already get into the American vocabulary. It's the Chinese word for white leftists, and that's what they are.
Oh, you learn something new every day. I've never heard that word. Ji, I would imagine, having survived Mao's revolution, you saw some counter-protests, you saw some resistance to a true authoritarian.
We got old Asian women making fun of white old lefties, dude. This is fucking great.
And I'm curious, having seen that and how it was responded to in the streets by the government, how would you compare that to what you saw in Washington, D.C.?
What I saw today is the Cultural Revolution. Those are the old Red Guards going there because they are backed by power, and in this case by the Democratic country, Democratic Party.
Long time.
An example that this is still a free country. If this is a tyranny, they should expect to see tanks, and that's in 1989 that the CCP.
Did she try to say thanks, but she said tanks? Or was she really saying tanks? It's kind of like when David tries to say Bama, but he says Bama, like Obama, or Bama. Tanks.
Violently suppressed the student demonstration with tanks.
Right. Someone who has seen real authoritarianism and a real tyrannical crackdown on protest has this to say today about the people wearing dinosaur and frog costumes, inflatable, in the streets of America. Ji Van Fleet, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Organizers claim over 7 million Americans turned out for the anti-Trump No Kings rallies over the weekend in all 50 states and in big blue cities like New York, Chicago, LA, and Philly. Gen Z, though, must have been at brunch. Many observers noting that older demonstrators were out in large numbers, among other colorful characters.
Well, we're here to represent the loving, hardworking community of Los Angeles.
Donald Trump, stay the hell out of Chicago!
I feel like you were wearing a T-shirt that was designed to troll Donald Trump.
Yeah, it said, I am Antifa. I was there with my corgi, Clyde, and he
Clyde
wore
might
this.
be Antifa. Clyde might really be Antifa.
Tear up the crown.
This is what democracy looks like.
In Boston, every day is No King's Day. Donald Trump is not a king. Donald Trump is a bully.
President Trump not mincing words on how he felt about it.
Shut up, woman!
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. By the way, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
Jesse Waters, do you think Democrats were just getting together, blow off some steam, or will they be able to turn this into some sort of mobilization, registration of voters, something with longer-term impact?
We'll see. I know my mom was there.
Really?
Can you believe my mom was there?
Which one? New York? Boston?
In Long Island. It's like sometimes I think I was adopted. It's like they do these things. The Women's March, BLM, the Musk stuff. The issues change, but the one thing that stays the same is Trump. They think this guy's like crack cocaine. They get these big bursts of energy every once in a while, but long term, this has been bad for their health. They've lost the culture. They've lost the media. They've lost 2 of the last 3 elections. They've lost all power in Washington, and they've lost their minds. He looks powerful because Biden was weak. Biden, they raided the Treasury. They invaded the country. They let the foreigners steal all the supply chains. They let the criminals run wild. Biden just sat there. So Trump is doing a lot because he's cleaning up a lot.
Fast, Eddie.
And the
Well
Democrats
said,
love
Eddie.
kings. They love the government telling them what to do. Hey, give me a shot.
Well said, fast, Eddie. What's
Take
up,
over my health care. Tell me what not to say. Remember when he was taking away everyone's First Amendment during the pandemic? Freedom of assembly. They were throwing people in jail for opening a gym. Remember the woman who tried to give someone a haircut? They threw her in jail. They're trying to take your Second Amendment. They're taking your First Amendment. Democrats love it. They love to submit. They love to conform. It's what they do. And you go into these rallies and you interview these people, they have no idea where they're there. I mean, some of them do, like my mom knew. But if you stick a mic in front of their face, they have no clue. They're just kind of walking around. And then sometimes you talk to one of them and they're like, yeah, I hope Trump dies. It's like, oh, my God, these people are nuts. And Trump's no king. If Trump was a king, you wouldn't have had a rally like this. You wouldn't have people going on TV calling him Nazi, and you wouldn't have the government shut down. And all these people on the left saying, oh, the Constitution, I love the Constitution. You called the guys who wrote it racist, old white men, and then you tore down their statues. So don't tell me you love the Constitution. You don't.
Like they're walking around with the 1619 Project in their pocket.
Right.
In the Constitution. Jessica, what did you make of it, though?
So I went to check it out, the Times Square one. I ran into Paul Morrow there as he was doing some surveillance work, taking some pics, which managed to go viral. I, wasn't there that long. It was very peaceful. As reported, the police officers were having a good time hanging out with the folks streaming down 7th Avenue. There were some offensive signs, mostly unoffensive ones that were homemade and didn't come from George Soros's Creative Play for Kids studio, a lot about the importance of human rights and civil rights, some 1776 shout outs, of course, a lot of anti-ICE posters. I've heard the complaints that it was too old and too white. I definitely saw young people there, but there were a good amount of folks who are in their later years, which I think actually means good news for the midterms, because guess who turns out at midterms? Women who do Zumba on the side of a protest. I saw this as a temperature check on what's going on in the second Trump administration. So 2 million more people showed up than they did just in June. As of the count right now, it was 5 in June, now 7 million this time.
Where'd you get
This
that
is
count
also
from?
a bit.
I'm curious where that count comes from. I can't find an official number.
Okay, well,
I
they
tried
do.
really hard.
Well, like the police officers, like the NYPD, did their count of who was there. They estimated it at 100,000, so you get it that way. You also have people who signed up and registered to make sure that they made it known that they were going to go.
It's not an
I
official
also thought
number,
of it.
it's from the
5,
actual-
You know what? Only 5 people were there. It was me and 4 of my
I
family
didn't say
members.
that. I just want you to be.
It is.
You're not taking it.
I
at
said
face
it was
value.
estimated. You don't take anything at face value. I get that
right.
now. So I'm just going to use my 90 seconds and then get out of here. I also think it was a bit of a turnout rally for Virginia and New Jersey to get people amped up for the fact that we have these big elections coming up that
Gary was
mean a
there
lot about the
dancing
future of the
around.
party. I wanted to add as well that Gallup's numbers for Americans' Party ID came out. Shifted in 2025, D +7. It was, we were down -4 at the end of 2024. So it has been a good year in terms of Democratic morale that way.
One thing is strange, Katie, and I'm not saying it wasn't anything. I mean, they had a little signs of life, but they were able to do this immediately after the first term, like on the second day, right? That's when that happened. This is 9 months later. So it's taking them a little bit of time. But I think that's partly because their leadership is so fractured.
Yeah.
And you have Kamala Harris, she's out there. Now Karine Jean-Pierre is going to be out there. Zohar Mamdani is taking over the attention meter. So you have a lot of people out there saying Trump is a king, but they're out there protesting him freely in the streets.
Yeah, they were pretty stunned after Trump beat them again, after they threw everything they possibly could at him and he still won a second term. So it took them some time to find their sea legs, and they still really haven't. And they are fractured with how they want to go and what direction they're trying to go. And I think the elections that we're going to see in New Jersey and Virginia will be helpful to them to try and find their footing. But when I was at the BLM Plaza in March, when they were ripping it up in Washington, D.C., there was a lone white woman there protesting by herself. And I'm glad that she found some friends this weekend because I felt very sorry for her. But this is the parade of the woke white liberals. It's the same people you've seen cause shopping for years and years and years. Jesse mentioned the Women's March, BLM. You saw them singing outside of federal government agencies during the DOGE cuts. They just show up when they feel like they have something to say, even if it's counterintuitive to what they've been saying or believed in before. I mean, you see American flags now. How many years has it been since they've really embraced the American flag? It used to be racist. They wanted to get rid of it. They were fine with people burning it at their riots in the summer of 2020. But the bigger picture here is this was mostly peaceful, but there are people in these rallies who, when they were asked about whether President Trump, if he were killed, if it would be worth it, if it would be something they were okay with, half of them said it would be fine. You had a staffer from a college in, I believe it was Denver, calling for ICE agents to be shot. So there is this underlying violence problem that the left has. Maybe it's not the woke white liberals who are showing up to different causes with these protests, but they do have this problem on their hands of people who think violence is the option for getting what they want.
So where do we go from here?
Well, the reason why I interrupted Jessica, because I keep hearing the number 7 million, and nobody ever supplies the backup sentence that says from X, because there is no X. There is no official accounting. When you go and you look for it, they say they get these numbers and they estimate it from the organizers.
If you live in a Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, or Ohio zip code and have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years, listen.
Imagine, this is like believing Jesse when you ask him how many girlfriends he had in college. Divide by 4. Okay, so maybe
7 million.
Yes. I will give credit where credit's due. It was largely nonviolent and non-confrontational. There were idiots that said terrible things. If you went and you asked them, they would say, "I hope Charlie Kirk dies." That was happening a lot, and you can call them old. They called Trump rallies old. Speaking of Charlie Kirk, he was the one who single-handedly destroyed that narrative with Turning Point. But again, I've said this before, this is an imaginary solution to an imaginary problem. If you look at their list of grievances, they're concepts. They cannot be measured. And this is why Republicans are so popular now. Crime, drugs, immigration are real things that generate statistics. You can measure it. I don't think you can measure, I know CNN will come up with it, measure a stat for authoritarianism. You know, it's gone up 137% since 2023. But right now, you can't. If you could measure authoritarianism, as Jesse points out, shutting down schools, parks, and speech would make Joe Biden the king of kings, but you're not going to measure that. So why do they believe in it? And you hit on this. Democrats are not used to seeing action. When Trump would say it doesn't always have to be this way, they didn't know what that meant. It's like, wait a second, you mean you can deport illegals? You can lock up recidivist criminals? Why didn't we think of that? Action. What is action? See, we have a conversation. That's our action. Let's have a conversation. Let's figure out a committee. But they never did a damn thing. And now you're seeing Democrats going, especially like in San Francisco, that city's on the mend. It's because they're actually doing stuff. They're arresting recidivists. They're hiring more cops. So I think it's like when Trump said, I work my ass off, that's exactly what it is. And they are not used to seeing it. They're in a shock. I think about the interviews that we were seeing of Black people in DC and Memphis and Chicago talking about the crime crackdown. They weren't talking about monarchy. They were talking about safety in their streets. That was important to them. You compare that to the interviews of the people on Saturday. Largely white, older, soft academic bodies who can afford to march for conceptual fears that don't exist, not real fears like mugging or carjacking or looting of their small businesses. They, however, God, they're so lucky. Imagine how lucky you are on a Saturday that this is your problem. I bet if you walked out there to that group and you said, have any of you ever been mugged? Has any of your businesses been looted? Have you ever been carjacked? Or do you know somebody that has been a victim of that? They wouldn't raise their hand. How lucky are they? They get to spend their afternoon not worrying about the things that everybody who lives in a city does. I think that's the story. Generally, imaginary concerns are harmless until they become harmful. When they become the narrative, suddenly you will see Charlie Kirk. Again, he gets shot and killed. Why? Because an amplified, phony narrative made him Hitler. Why was Trump shot at? Same reason. So this is harmless for now.
What a great way to start off the week, guys.
Congressional Democrats are celebrating what they consider a victorious weekend with the No Kings rallies all across the country. This comes as we near the start of a fourth week of the partial government shutdown. Senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram tells us where things stand tonight from Capitol Hill.
Democratic political royalty vowing a farewell to kings.
We will not bow down to any monarch.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Democrats believe the rallies electrify their base and could boost midterm turnout.
Millions of people you saw on the streets as protesters on Saturday become...
I swear these people are screaming free speech when they were fucking trying to silence everybody just not that long ago.
organizers in 2026 for us to take back Congress.
But Republicans say Democrats must be careful aligning with progressives.
If these same left-wing groups have their way, Democrats will be keeping up the shutdown for a long time to come.
Democrats say congressional Republicans must stand up to President Trump.
Republicans don't do anything without getting permission from their boss. Donald Trump clearly wants the government shut down.
But Republicans believe the government shutdown backfires on Democrats.
If they think he's this king, why would they cede all of the power to the executive branch?
There are still no formal talks to end the shutdown.
We're hoping the Democrats become much less deranged.
Democrats say President Trump is key.
If he will engage, we'll find a path forward.
The government is laying off 1,400 workers who safeguard the nation's nuclear stockpiles. What keeps you up at night about what parts of this federal government are not operating?
Every day that the government is shut down, it is a danger to the American people.
There's particular concern about air traffic controllers.
Their next paycheck comes a week from Tuesday, and in that paycheck, there will be no dollars.
Air traffic controllers are now working gig jobs to stay afloat. The White House is hunting for ways to pay controllers, and the GOP could dare Democrats to oppose a bill paying essential workers. Brett?
Chad program live on Capitol Hill. Chad, thanks.
We're joined now by two people who've been digging into these No Kings protests. Azra Nomani, editor with The Pearl Project. Jason Rant, Seattle Red talk show host. Azra, let's start with you. Are these, protests simply, organic, people, emailing maybe on social media and so forth? So it all just came together, grassroots from the people?
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With Wix, you can. First up, let's talk about AI color themes. You can get any combos you want.
I'm uploading videos.
Minimalist and sleek, or something you...
I was uploading the next video.
Absolutely not. This is a protest industry. And so what I did is what I've learned to do in journalism, which is follow the money. And I established that there's 260 organizations that were behind this No Kings protest. And as Jenica Pounds, a computer scientist with Data Republican, said to me, they have built an empire, these left-wing organizations, using nonprofit status to use the machine that we have in America to wage a war, a political war on Donald Trump. And so everything was orchestrated. It was political theater from beginning to end, from social media. And the real question for people is the fact that these organizations are living rent-free, basically tax-free in America, pulling off these protests.
Yeah, it seems like, Jason, there are hundreds of organizations behind these protests. It's not one particular organization, but it is like, I really think it's actually their social life. I don't know if because we don't have clubs, community civics organizations anymore. They think those are racist. I don't know. But this is as close to church as many, not all, but many of the protesters who showed up really have anymore.
Yeah, they don't believe in God, but they do believe in this kind of activism, and this is what they do professionally. And they're taking advantage of different tax codes like 501c4 status, which a lot of these organizations are. Those are supposed to be social welfare organizations, and they're allowed to get political, but they don't have to disclose their donor list, which is how all of this dark money ends up getting funneled here. I mean, in the case of No Kings, you have Indivisible, which is the primary organization behind it. It gets funding, however, from places like the George Soros Foundation, his Open Society foundations. They're getting that kind of money, and then they're getting institutional support from all these other groups that Azra just pointed out. Everything from the mainstream stuff like the ACLU, but also to groups like the Communist Party of America, where they might not donate directly to Indivisible, but what they do is they share their contact list, or they reach out to their contact list, say, hey, show up at so-and-so for this event, and the money that they do end up spending, these groups in general, is for like signage, things like that, but also the professional activists who show up, who then use this to get more contact information for the people who show up, and then solicit for funds for donations from them.
Yeah, Open Society's Foundation, by the way, gave us a statement saying, we support a wide range of independent organizations that work to deepen civic engagement through peaceful democratic participation. Our grantees make their own decisions about their work consistent with the law and the terms of their grant agreements. I don't think, Azra, a lot of pro-life organizations that were truly fighting something noble, the slaughter of millions of babies in the womb. I don't think they got any money from George Soros. I certainly don't think parents groups that you helped launch years ago in Fairfax County, Virginia, I don't think they got any help. Only a particular ideology gets help from the Open Society Foundation.
Yeah, I mean, they are basically fueling the machine. And Jason mentioned the 501c4 organizations that are political organizations, allowed to do a limited amount. But according to my data analysis, about 100 of the organizations are 501c3. And they are supposed to do very little political work. They are absolutely supposed to be nonpartisan. But some of the names of these groups is literally resist Trump. That's not very subtle there. And then build the resistance along with, as Jason was mentioning, the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They bring the foot soldiers to this movement and create this myth of the marching millions. And I want everybody to know that, you know, this is theater. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But it's an industry and it must be checked.
No, Jason, finally, do you think, as Trump said, this in any way is representative of a wide swath of the American electorate?
I think he's correct in that it clearly is. And I mean, I heard a lot of the language of like, this is what democracy looks like. No, democracy looks like the Electoral College map, where you had 77 million voters who voted for Donald Trump and 312 Electoral College votes. That's what democracy looks like. These are folks who are protesting democracy because they're upset that they lost the last election. And the good news is, despite a lot of people showing up, they're not really going to get anything done here.
Yeah, sour grapes didn't sound...
I personally feel like I don't really care that these people did it. They just look stupid. I feel like they're going a little overboard, bitching and whining.
A little bit.
Yeah, no, I was on February 20th, 2023. I was attacked in my bed by a spiritual being and clawed and left bleeding and scarred. And do I understand what happened? No, of course I don't. I don't really understand anything, but that did happen to me. I don't care if people believe me or not. It did. And I think it was just a momentary glimpse of something that's happening at all times, which is, again, this war between forces that we can't see, not since we dropped the atomic bomb in Nagasaki, the second one in August of 1945, and decided that we were gods, and the God himself no longer existed. Since then, we have been a secular society, and that's why we're now being destroyed, in my view. I care about this country and what happened to it after 1945. And it's a very clear demarcation line. And it seems obvious to me that nuclear weapons are demonic. There's no upside to them at all. And that anyone who claims otherwise is either ignorant or doing the bidding of the forces that created nuclear technology in the first place, which are not human forces, obviously. And let me just ask you this, which I've asked a million people at dinner parties, but never in public. What was the moment we can point to that nuclear technology was invented? You know, we can point to Isaac Newton and say, what apple fell on his head? Or we can point to Albert Hoffman in his lab messing around with the, ergot bacteria. That's when LSD was made. I've never met a person who can isolate the moment where nuclear technology became known to man. And so where did it come from exactly? Oh, German scientists in the 30s. Really when? Name the date. And I've never heard anybody do that. It's very clear to me that these are demonic. I mean, these are evil. Their only purpose is to destroy the innocent, to murder the innocent. They've only been used once, and I think there's an interesting ethical debate about their use. Was Truman right or whatever? But if you take 3 steps back, you could say, well, wait a second. If you end up killing, incinerating tens of thousands of civilians, that's just a bad thing. Let's just be honest, that's just a bad thing. And anyone who does that is going to pay consequences. It's just true. And by the way, the fact the second bomb was dropped on the Christian population of Japan, which was majority in Nagasaki, in fact, it was sighted in on a church in Nagasaki, was that an accident? Why Nagasaki exactly? And by the way, why has every subsequent American war resulted in disproportionately the deaths of Christians? That would include Vietnam, by the way, where the Catholic population was decimated, up to and including Iraq and Syria, now in Russia. Why is it that our use of force consistently since the end of the Second World War has been against Christians? That's been the effect, to kill Christians. The bombing of the Balkans in the 90s under NATO. Why is that? And I just don't think it's an accident. Clearly, it's not an accident.
He's using the United States, its economy, and its military power for his own ends. By the way, he's hardly the only foreign leader who's tried to do that or wanted to do that. Of course. That's not only common, it's generally the rule. What's remarkable to me is how effective he's been at that and how contemptuous he is.
I think he shocked himself. I don't know if you've seen this video of him. He asked the journalist to turn off the camera, and the journalist kind of, left it running. And he goes, 80% of Americans, this is an old one, 80% of Americans support us. It's absurd. Like, so he's also surprised. Did you
think that's right. And he has real contempt for the United States
Oh,
and for Christianity
100%.
especially, which is very galling. I mean, lots of people have contempt for the United States and lots of people have contempt for Christianity. Again, he's not alone in that. But the fact that we're supporting him and his government to the extent that we are, floating the whole thing to the tune of many, many billions, it's not $3 billion a year. It's tens of billions. The truth is, yes, I think Bibi is completely evil and completely destructive.
Absolutely.
He's not the only world leader who's evil and destructive, by the way, again, but he is. And he's hurting the United States and he's destroying his own country. And I think he imperils the world. Okay, so I think that clearly they're going to try and blow up Al-Aqsa Mosque. I believe that.
Okay. And the reason is twofold. Number one, as a Christian, growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
Hold
on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This majority.
They're scolding him right here, bro.
Christian country.
Define Israel. Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
That line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is. So I don't know.
I don't remember the scriptural citation. But, okay,
it's like Genesis 16 or something like that. But yes, it's in the earlier part of the book. But the point is...
All right, Tucker, you keep interrupting me before I finish my sentence.
It's important to know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're... So you're saying as a Christian, if I believe in Jesus, I have to support the modern state of Israel?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm explaining for me what my motivation is.
But okay, so I'm just trying to understand. You said God tells you to support the modern state of Israel in the Bible, in some place in the Bible that you heard about, but you don't know where it is. That's your theology?
You're going back, am I a sleazy feline again? I mean,
if you accuse me of anti-Semitism again, I will say that, but I don't think you will. Do you think that, it's just interesting because what you're now describing in a very defensive way, I will say.
Alright, let's get to the next video here. Here it is.
Hit the like, please.
Oh, hold on.
Hey, Mims. How you doing?
Truly a fight of good versus evil. I really do.
And people we spoke to today say, sadly, that has become way too common.
Yeah, what do you think's going on in the world?
Insanity.
Well, this is creepy. Chilling doorbell camera video showing 3 people in Halloween masks outside a Virginia home. Police say they threatened to break in and kill the people inside. It looks like a horror movie.
This next story, it's like likely something out of somebody's nightmare out there, especially as we approach Halloween.
When I was first elected to Congress, Lawrence, I really did think we all believed in the same thing. We just had different ways of getting there. When I left Congress, I was convinced, no, that's not true. This is a fight of good versus evil. It truly is.
The next story is going to leave you shaking your head. A woman from New Jersey is accused of stabbing another woman in the parking lot of a Marshall's. Investigators say the two women had a disagreement in the checkout line. They claim the suspect then purchased a knife at the store and stabbed the woman.
I'm not aware of incidents that have occurred this heinous before, and that's why it's so.
Bro, that story that they just talked about, that was when the lady took the knife from Marshall's and then cut that was in Cleveland, bro, and then cut that lady's throat and took her baby.
Concerning.
Police in Alexandria now investigating. The chief calling this video very alarming.
But we're
What would you do if that guy showed up at your door, Ryan? Not the black guy.
going to take every step once we identify them to prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law.
Investigators say what may be seen as a prank days before Halloween is no joke.
Going around to their backyard, destroying property, and transitions from a prank to a criminal offense. And we take these incidents seriously.
Chris Tanaka shows us when the family inside realized it was not a prank.
Open the door! When I first saw the video, to be honest with you, I thought that this has to be a prank.
But Alexandria, Virginia Police Chief Tarek McGuire says this was anything but a prank.
What was most concerning in this event is not only did they knock on the door, make alarming comments.
People wearing Halloween masks terrorizing a family in Alexandria, Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C., late Tuesday night.
Worst nightmare.
The three apparently laughing at first, but their actions quickly becoming more sinister. From pulling on the front door,
Open the door! Open the door!
to making the motion of cutting their throat before threatening to break into the house.
I'm gonna count to 10. If this door doesn't open, we're gonna come in. 1, 2.
But with these teenagers and tall adults that are going to be coming around, it's a little off-putting, especially in light of this. Remember the
This is demonic, bro.
trick-or-treat murder that took place many years ago? That is where a masked person did just what they did, but the person opened the door and they were killed.
We have new details on a woman's murder at a Dallas shopping center that escalated from a courteous gesture to a violent confrontation. Good evening, I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes, Fox 4's Alex Boyer, live with the details from arrest records. Alex.
Hey guys, and according to that arrest warrant affidavit, we now know that it was the victim who got mad at the suspect for not saying thank you after she held the door open for the suspect at an area business. Well, that ended up spilling over into another nearby business where the arguing continued, and then once they were outside, that is when that verbal altercation turned deadly.
The shooter was telling them, come outside, like, let's handle it outside, like, you know, let's fight outside. And the mom and the daughter were kind of just like telling her to like go away.
This 27-year-old nurse who asked that we not use her name had just walked out of this PetSmart store located off West Wheatland Road in the southeast Oak Cliff area of Dallas Tuesday afternoon when she noticed two women, one with her 20-year-old daughter, arguing in the parking lot. Moments later, she heard gunshots.
But the mom and daughter tried to like get in their car and like de-escalate the situation, but the lady wasn't having it. So they ended up starting to fight. And then that's when the lady pulled out her gun and shot her.
Dallas police later identified the suspect as 22-year-old Keona Hampton. She fled the scene in her car, but was arrested hours later with the help of surveillance video that captured her image, car, and license plate. The witness ran to help and put her training to work, performing CPR.
The daughter was next to the mom the whole time. She it's hard because, like, you know, the screaming of a child for her mother is never easy, and it's never going to leave my head.
The victim, identified as Cecilia Simpson, died at the hospital. All of this started on the other end of the shopping center at Five Below as both the suspect and victim exited the store with something that might seem like a simple gesture of courtesy. According to the arrest warrant affidavit, Simpson got upset at Hampton for not thanking her for holding the door. It spiraled quickly from there. Hampton, who reportedly waived her Miranda rights, confirmed that she engaged in the verbal dispute, entering the PetSmart twice and continuing the argument, throwing a drink bottle at Simpson's car when she was about to leave and engaging in a physical altercation with her. adding that she took out her gun and shot Simpson, stating she was trying to get Simpson away from her. And again, the victim's daughter was a witness to all of it.
I've been trying not to cry, but just like, you know, being in high school, like my mom was such an important person during my lifetime, and she's the reason I became a nurse.
Yeah, Liz, you know, the suspect has a detention hearing set for Thursday. And like you said, this wasn't even two shoppers having a tussle over an item that was for sale. As you said, it sounded like one person simply ran out of patience. And people we spoke to today say, sadly, that has become way too common.
Yeah, what do you think's going on in the world?
Insanity.
It is a busy Marshall's location, but on Saturday, patience ran out for one woman who ended up being arrested. Kearney police say 25-year-old Amber Thompson of Newark was angered by another customer whom she decided was taking too long in the checkout line and then threatened to harm the shopper once they got outside. Well, police say Thompson bought a set of knives, took one out of the packaging, chased the shopper down and stabbed her several times. The victim was rushed to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect was found back inside the Marshalls. Police say she was hiding in a bathroom where a bloody knife was also found. We tried to speak to many shoppers as they exited the store off camera. Some questioned whether or not there should be more security here, especially after the stabbing. Others say many people are simply on edge and acting irrationally.
I think it's pretty crazy that that happened here. And what is this, Kearney Harrison? Yeah, it's just crazy because it never happens around here.
Well, Amber Thompson is being held in the Hudson County Correctional Facility. She is facing numerous charges, including aggravated assault and possession of a weapon. For now, we're live here in Kearney, New Jersey. Tony Yates, Channel 7.
You know, Jason, I've been watching the other side of the political aisle to see how they were going to respond to this. Will they lower the temperature, unify, change their ways? Unfortunately, yesterday I was watching Representative Crockett, and this is what she had to say.
One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was, specifically to us.
On the day of the memorial.
She's never heard Charlie Kirk. You listen to the message of Charlie Kirk said, hey, if you disagree, let's talk it out. It's so rare. You know, when I was first elected to Congress, Lawrence, I really did think we all believed in the same thing. We just had different ways of getting there. When I left Congress, I was convinced, no, that's not true. This is a fight of good versus evil. It truly is. And what was exhibited by some, not all, but some of the Democrats, in the way they've handled this, the way they've handled violence and death and an assassination. If we can't come together on an assassination of a private citizen, somebody who wasn't in elected office, when are we going to come together? I think it is truly a fight of good versus evil. I really do.
I want to save some of this other shit. I'm going to play this. Some of y'all may or may not. I'm going to save some of this because nobody's really in here, so I want to save the rest. Like, let's see if this, just because this would be my hashtag. Let's just see if this does anything. Otherwise, I'm calling it not.
Ingram, this is the Ingram angle from Washington tonight. Heroes and zeros. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, it was very tempting to start tonight by laying right into the dim-witted hypocrites at Saturday's No Kings rally. Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to get to them in a moment. But first, I want to tell you about a great patriot, Colonel Robert Wilburn Hill. It was one of the greatest privileges of my life to join his family as he was laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery this morning. With the morning dew still kissing the grass, the sounds and sights of the burial with full military honors filled the fall air.
I'm even gonna save this. I'm even gonna save this, bro, to be honest. I want to see if there's anything left. There's nobody even in here. Alright, y'all. I'm finna get out of here. There's only 7 people in here. It just took a drastic drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a damn good one. It's hard to do shows when YouTube be effing with you. It's no fun. But what else? It is definitely good versus evil, Mimsy.
Absolutely.
Sure. Definitely not left and right. I mean, it is left and right, but I mean, it boils down to good versus evil at the end. For sure.
One side just kind of leaves a little bit more evil. I don't know. Maybe not.
I'm trying to think of what else. I'm still sort of just like, you know what we never did was listen to Bernie Sanders speak at that rally. I don't want to hear it, but dude, you know, imagine it'd be like listening to David talk about suing Chat GPT
In a circle.
just right in a circle.
Over and over and over on a record. Just over and over again.
Oh, look, the sun popped out. That's
I know.
Great.
Yeah.
It's been raining and stuff. Well, freaking, I had a bunch of stuff. Serenity, thanks for sending me stuff. Like, I just, again, feel like saving it for when there's more people watching it. So that way we can put a show together because there's some real interesting stuff in there. And it's just going to get lost in the sauce. I don't want it to. So, like that last video was pretty interesting. I wish I could have saved that for the beginning. You know, I don't know if I could, you know. So, well, y'all have a good day. Stay blessed. And we'll talk to you another time. Peace. Love you, Candy. Mimsy, thanks for coming through. Serenity, thank you. And Billy Donkey, hope you're having a good day. Be safe, Rafiki. Yourself. Everybody else, much love. Be good.
Hit the like, please, if you can. Leave a comment after the video. It'd really help us out.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man.
We got to get through this algorithm bump again. We'll be all right.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, have a blessed day.
Love you guys.
Peace out. How do I end this now? I'm on the wrong screen completely. Laura Ingram. Where is my actual stream at? Here we go. All right. Yeah, I could leave it on this one right here. Ryan, thanks for your help again, buddy. Marley's just now starting to wake up too, so it's perfect timing. All right, hold on. I'm gonna take his ass for a walk. All right. Yeah, I'll be good. Peace, love. Yeah.